Hello, podcast world. Welcome to Balance Life Mastery, the show where we talk about all things high performance and life balance without the burnout. Stories, insights, and actionable tips on creating the life you deserve, giving you and your teams the unfair competitive advantage in work and personal life. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of Balance Life Mastery. Today, we're going to talk about non-negotiables, what they are, how to apply them in our day-to-day or our lives in general, and the benefits, basically, of setting non-negotiables in order to set your boundaries and create some sort of structure in your approach to goals, to projects, whatever that might be. So non-negotiables, I mean, it is a bit of a buzzword that we hear just alongside all of the other personal development buzzwords. But what do non-negotiables mean to you, Jeremy?
It's basically the things that I want, whether it's I want to do on a daily basis or more. I think it guides me on the things that I don't want to do. And I think that's the more important bit. It's a bit like your values. It's making sure you don't put yourself in a situation of something you really don't want to do. And that's where I found them really important. Because like you said, it's a bit of a buzzword or buzzwords. I don't know if it's separated, hyphenated or whatever it is. But quite often people will think they have to be these big, amazing, like massive things, and they don't. I mean, they can be really simple things that kind of bring you happiness or kind of actually more importantly kind of keep you on the straight and narrow, whether that's with your mindset, your physical side and bits like that. So yeah, I love them. You generally have them, you just don't know they're there.
Exactly that. And once you do know, that's essentially they're aligned to our values, our goals, our lifestyle, our beliefs, our morals, whatever it is. But basically, non-negotiables are about setting boundaries with ourselves so that we have this structure and kind of direction to follow, but also with others, because a lot of people tend to fall into this bucket. And I certainly, something I'm trying to grow out of is being a people pleaser and putting other people's needs ahead of mine. So I think, and that's definitely not healthy. I think we all know that. So yeah. So what are kind of some of your non-negotiables that you do day to day? And just before we get into that, non-negotiables can be applicable to all areas of life. So relationships, fitness, nutrition, health, personal growth, career, finances, anything, literally anything. And I think this might be a question for you. I think because of one of your values being security, do you have any financial non-negotiables? That's a question for you.
I do, and it was interesting because you read me off that list. It's like yep, that one. In one of my biggest ones is living within our means, and yeah, with like you said, like spot on around my my value of security. When I had my kind of corporate job, there was a lot of stuff we could have done. There was a lot more we could have had. There was like I know at one stage the bank was kind of questioning about why we weren't getting a bigger mortgage. It's like, I don't want a bigger mortgage. And yeah, to me, that's security, having cash buffers, having money away for like when the gutters break and things like that. And again, like these non-negotiables, like the values, you often spot them because when you're living outside of it, you just don't feel right and you can't kind of commit to it. And similarly for me, if like I'm just tight-fisted, like I can't have a frivolous spend without some planning in advance. Like I was talking to Katie about like a plan to take the boys to Disneyland, whatever the Florida one is, in 2 years' time, because it's when Ethan finishes primary school. And it's like, but that's not extravagant because having a 2-year runway, we can kind of build it in. But yeah, it's like, I know a lot of people would be like, let's just go this year, put it on credit card and go. I would not enjoy that trip. I couldn't enjoy it because I'm like, this is like the next 2 years of my life paying this off at 13% interest.
That's hilarious because I'm the complete opposite. I don't know. I need to actually look into that a little bit. But I did this when I got more into like learning trading and stuff. I worked with someone who helped me do this scoring system spectrum, basically on where I sit on in terms of risk. And there's a word to it that I can't think of it right now, but and yeah, I am basically on the absolute limits of risk taking and being impulsive. Yeah, so I don't know how that's going to work in my favor, but I need to do some digging there.
I mean, it does help that you're aware of it. I mean, that's the first thing, that you kind of know that you have this impulse trait and you can try and put it in a box, or you can build up a protection mechanism around that, like having a cash buffer, because you know that you're just going to splurge on something stupid like new pair of lifters or a stock or a stock pick. So
or a holiday, really.
Exactly. But if you've if you know that's your trait and you can build that up in a different way, that's always kind of really helpful. But anyway, back to non-negotiables. In my other two, really quickly, and then we'll kind of see what yours are, apart from buying stuff. Must buy something every week or I'm not happy. One of them is just exercise and eating well, but it's not 100%. So by that, it's like the 80-20 rule of eating well, exercising well, but not living out of a Tupperware. I'm not like an extreme, but I know that if I want to do something, I sort of work it into a plan. And then the other one is surprise, surprise, time management. So whether that's being at things on time, expecting other people to be the same. And I think this is an important thing about non-negotiables. You often expect it of others, whether you've told them it or not. But also being productive. I'm not one that can sort of sit idly. I have to feel like I have to do something. And it's something I'm actually working on, to spend more time quiet, calm, like with myself. But yeah, time management's massive. I think it comes from my parents always being late. Actually, we talked about this, didn't we? Because you said about your like trips with the family. I'm the same, so I think it's sometimes sort of drilled into you as well. So what about you? What are yours?
100%. I think mine are very much around health and wellness for some reason. I mean, those are the ones that tend to pop out for me. So, but also very structure based. So the more structure I have, or the more discipline I have in my life, the better I feel. And yes, I mean, spending money every month on this, I've actually, up until this month, probably for the past 2 years, I've completely changed my buying habits, because I feel like I am completely wasting, a lot of, not even money, but just world resources on things that don't equate to anything. So anyway, that's a story for another day. But basically, my kind of from morning to evening non-negotiables is, number one, I will try to stay in bed. I will try to get 8 hours of sleep a day. I am an early bird, which means I will probably be in bed by 9 p.m. But I know that if I don't get 8 hours or around that time, then I am groggy and I can't focus. I can't train properly, all of that stuff. Second thing is I have to, otherwise it sits massively in my brain all day long, is I have to make my bed. And if I don't make it, again, it'll just, every time I walk into the room, it'll bug me. And I know it's there and it just makes me feel icky. I think the next one is, which took me a while to develop, is a morning routine. So I know exactly what I'm going to do first. So I end up walking the dog for an hour first. I come back, have my coffee, just sit and have me time to like gather my thoughts. I will read a few articles, do a few things, and then my day properly starts. And especially working from home, this has become super, super important, because when you go to the office every day, it's like you wake up, shower, breakfast, and you're gone. So setting up that morning routine, I think has become key. Another one is I need to get outside every day. I need to make sure I move every day. So if I'm not training on my rest days, I will 100% go for a long walk, or I'll do a bit of mobility. So again, and then I think alone time is another one for me. So actually with my coach, I've put in my non-negotiables. One of them is basically alone time. So just time to breathe. And I think we were just talking before we started recording this, is that my Myers-Briggs personality type has changed over the past couple of years from an extrovert to an introvert. And this is probably me aligning to my true self a little bit more. But yeah, so those are basically my non-negotiables. I
think on that, the one where you said about having that morning routine when you work remote, it's just as important if you're in the office. So yeah, if you're an office-based worker or hybrid worker, like still having that routine before life gets in the way. Yeah, that personal time. I mean, like you said, you're sort of introverted as well. So having that time with the dog, news article, coffee, bits like that are incredibly important to the expressions like fill your cup, like fill the cup with a little bit of exercise, a little bit of sunlight, all these things, a bit of motivation maybe before, you know, it's getting ready for work or kids to school or whatever it is. So it's those things that when you get to midday, if you haven't done those stuff, that can really start to affect you, especially mentally as the day gets busy. But no, cool list. And we were going to give some examples as well, and that's a really good mix. So like you sort of heard, you know, things about whether it's timings, whether it's things about your personal health, well-being, whether it's talking about finances, which are important. I'll give you a little tip after this, Dina, and maybe we do it on a separate session about how to create a splurge fund, which is really good for like how to save your money but spend your money. But
I think I need your finance tips in my life, please, because that's been a very recent journey of mine. I'm much better than I was, but yes, maybe we do an episode on that and you can coach me through it directly.
Funnily enough, it's all about automation. Best kind of habit. But these, the other things you can kind of look at are, and I sort of feel guilty that I didn't have these on my list, but family time. So whether it's, I think a really important one is having a certain amount of meals as a sit down as a family together. Having those as non-negotiables, like you can tell work, like on a Monday, Tuesday and a Friday, I want to eat as a family, so I'm not doing meetings after 5. Like date nights or these things where you kind of want, that you want to fit these in, because if you've got young kids, they're going to grow up very quick and then they're not going to want to spend any time with you. So it's getting, if you've got that non-negotiable and you want to do it, make sure you've kind of got those in. And then a lot of it's also self-talk. So, setting good goals, committing to those goals, not talking yourself out of them, that commit to what you want to do and have that non-negotiable of, I want to work towards this, and don't listen to what other people think. Don't listen to people telling you it can't be done or you're not good enough or anything like that. It's just hit what you need to do.
Yep, completely agree. I think in terms of what would be your biggest tip in terms of day-to-day productivity in terms of non-negotiables? So we wake up in the morning, and yes, a lot of what we talked about are about finances or self-care or anything of the sort. What would you say? Okay, someone wants to wake up, they want to get the most out of the day, be the most productive they possibly can. What would be your biggest tip? And I think we can share a few between us.
Yeah. I think firstly, it's all about preparation and planning. So it probably starts the night before. So that's working out what you want to achieve, whether it's that day or tomorrow or whenever you're doing that planning. And that's really helpful for your non-negotiables, because if you've got that dog walk non-negotiable, you can put that in your calendar, or you can know you're going to do it. So having that in advance, sort of knowing what you're going to do, it's great for like decision fatigue and bits like that. But just knowing what you're going to do, you can fit stuff in. You can fit in the 5 p.m. dinner on a Monday or whatever it is, and just create that little prioritized list that we've talked about before, like the 3 things, because that will give you that successful day, and it means you can fit in all those elements of non-negotiables: the fitness, the food, the family time. But that's probably my top one.
And you know what? There's something that happens when we brain dump before we go to sleep. That's why journaling is so big, and it actually is so powerful. When we brain dump before we go to sleep, we can actually allow our subconscious mind to properly rest while we're meant to. And I really noticed the difference on the nights that I've got just something going on in my head, and how interrupted my sleep is versus the nights where I'm just like a log and I don't move all night. So yeah.
So what about you? Any tips?
I think so. Time blocking for me is definitely, time blocking again, buzzword, uninterrupted time. So if I'm working on something, I will turn everything else off and just focus on that. And that has been magical in terms of, because between emails, between social media, between texts, relationships, friends, family, whatever it is, time to eat, time to do whatever, there's so many distractions. So I know what my attention span is, and I will give myself half an hour to focus on certain tasks, because beyond that, I start to fidget a little bit. So again, but half an hour, I can get a hell of a lot more done than a lot of times having spent 3-4 hours trying to get something done with all these distractions going around. So yeah, time blocking or uninterrupted time is my big one.
Yeah, and that was really cool, because that obviously the planning the day before and using the time blocking, you then walk into your 30-minute schedule and you have a direction of what you want to do, you have an outcome, you know what you want to work on. So whether it's, I don't know, writing a book, and you know that you want to do 1,000 words in 30 minutes or whatever it is, or you're doing a PowerPoint presentation creation or any of those things, because you've got it in the calendar and you've said, right, from 9:30 till 10 I'm going to work on this. It is brilliant. And it's the whole sort of concept of getting into a flow state, because you know the outcome, you have that focus, your brain loves it because it knows that in 30 minutes it gets a rest. So yeah, no, it's super cool approach.
Yeah. What about, how do you, so obviously productivity, everyone thinks of work, do. How do you split that up in terms of thinking about yourself there? Because people think productivity is doing, right? And productivity can also be resting, can also be focusing on yourself, investing time in your learning, whatever. So it doesn't have to be doing something. So what's your take on that?
I mean, one of the things that we talk to all the clients about is sort of value over volume, or quality over quantity. Because I can sit and process emails for 8 hours a day, but I'm going to walk out of it unfulfilled and I didn't really move a lot forward. But that's like the low value shallow work. And science has proved the fact that we need to take these rests. So you do that 30-minute of deep focused work, and then you take the 5-minute rest, or do Pomodoros of 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, maybe doing 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And yes, scientifically proven to get more work done. But also, like, stopping work at 5 o'clock or whatever time it is, when you have dinner, don't open the laptop again, don't do the emails, because it's just spinning that brain back up, and it's low value. I think you just need to try it, and you'll see this difference. But if you can put in the rest times, you can put in the personal things like the walk outside, which helps with mental health, creativity, all these different things, you'll soon see that you can do the stuff you want to do while still delivering what you need to at work, and feeling that way more fulfilled.
For sure. No, definitely. And I think that's what gives that balance. It's if you start to become, if the day-to-day tasks in your work, be it your business or in a 9-to-5, the tasks start becoming mundane, it's probably because you're not giving yourself any sort of fulfillment on the other side. So try and balance that out. So I mean, that's kind of where it's at with non-negotiables. They are the rules that you set for yourself and for others, how you want to be spoken to, how you spend your time, what you focus on, and so much more. So, I mean, a lot of these subtopics we've covered in previous episodes. So have a look through the episode lists if you want to think about sleep, values, anything like that. But yeah, any final words, Jeremy?
Two bits, and it kind of triggered off something you just said. Firstly, keep it simple. right? So when you're thinking about these non-negotiables, don't make them super complex, because then you'll either talk yourself out of them or like find a legal reason not to do it, and you just won't sort of remember them. So keep them real simple. It's like, don't be frivolous with money or family commitments, or these sort of things that will just remind you and trigger. But actually, you made a good point about your non-negotiables with other people. One of the best things you can do if you're a leader or if you've got a team is firstly tell people what your non-negotiables are, and then also have a team activity. And it's kind of, what is your team non-negotiables? What's your team norms? And your non-negotiable is, we don't book meetings after 6 o'clock. Obviously it depends if you're a global organization, but maybe you say that, or like on a Wednesday we do this, or Fridays we have no meetings in the afternoon. It's not always possible, but having that group of like, here's how we communicate to each other. Here's how, like, if you have a non-negotiable about mutual respect, what does that mean to the group? How do you go about it? Because it's going to build credibility within the group. It's going to build so much psychological safety, where people feel like, as a group, we have said we can go to Pilates lessons. We can go to the gym at 11:30 till 12, because as soon as you've empowered people to do it, they feel like they're not cheating. So if you're taking your 1 hour lunch break at 11 o'clock till 12, because that's what time the gym session is, perfect. So have that discussion with people.
Definitely, yes. And that is the biggest tip of all. So don't keep your non-negotiables to yourself. You need to make sure that people understand them, because otherwise you'll start resenting people asking you for stuff and thinking, why don't they get it? Well, have you told them? Have you made it clear? And we need to stop assuming, because otherwise we get into this massive Pandora's box in our minds. And so be clear, communicate, set the structure, set the scene, and hopefully this will help you create a lot more structure and direction for yourselves. So
sorry, just my mind keeps buzzing. But you imagine if like the amount of arguments you've had with your partner. So let's take mine, right? If Katie didn't know that I had a non-negotiable around like living within our means, and I came home every day and there was Amazon parcels on the front doorstep, right? And I didn't tell her that made me uncomfortable. The thing is, she's not to blame at all. She's happy. She's spending her money, or our money, and we're not in a credit card debt. And I'm like raging, all like coiled up like a corkscrew, getting really fed up. But I've never told her. So that's one of those things, like those non-negotiables, you've got to tell people. Like time management, Katie knows that I will get really frustrated if we're running late. So she also helps me get the boys ready like 20 minutes before we need to get them ready. Like, so it's that thing. Have the dialogue, whether it's personal life, work, like whatever it is, because they might not bend around you, and they shouldn't. People shouldn't change their lives to fulfill your personal need. But if they can absorb it, and you can be like a little bit in balance with each other, it's incredible. So don't bottle it up like I used to.
Oh my goodness, please say that again. Say that louder, scream it from the rooftops, because yes, 1,000,000 times over, no one is responsible for acting in the way that we expect them to. So thanks for that.
All right.
Cool. On that note, I think this is it for this episode. And until next week, have a fantastic week, guys. Take care.
One more. No, I'm only joking. All right. See ya. Thank you very much for listening. If you like the episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend or a colleague, and leave us a review on whichever podcast platform you're using. We read them all, and it really helps us get the insights and the guidance on where to take the program forward. And also connect with us on social media. Share your journey with us with your high-performing balance life. And lastly, remember to take the BalanceQ Score card. The link will be in the show notes. And BalanceQ or BQ is your balance approach. It's your ability to live this high-performing balance life in your personal and professional career. And when you take the scorecard, you get actionable insights, you get steps that you can take to really take yourself on this journey. So with that, we thank you very much for listening, and look forward to you listening on a future episode, and have an amazing day.